Hey, hi, hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Shannon. How you doing? Nice to meet you. I hope you're doing so very well. Today I am bringing you my best and worst books so far this year, and let me tell you, it's been a good reading year. If you've watched any of my previous content, my book freakout tag, and then next Tuesday my stats, you'll see how my reading year has went, and I'm feeling good about it. Unfortunately, there is 5 books on this worst list, and also 5 books on the good list. So it's balanced out. I think in previous years, I've always found it hard picking just 5 of the best books, and I've always found it hard to pick 5 bad books because I haven't had maybe 5 bad enough books to be on the list. But this year I have plenty of both. So I don't know if you're the type of person that likes to start with good news or bad news first, but I thought I would start with the best and work my way down so that we end with the worst. I don't know if that's the wrong way to do it. Yeah, yeah, let's do it that way because yeah, we'll be finishing the video on the worst note, but also we'll be starting with the best, which is what I want to talk about. So, if you've watched any of my content recently, this will come as no surprise, but the best book I have read this year is The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson, and by extension, The Well of Ascension. I didn't want to put both of these books the in separate spots, so when I say this is my favorite book of the year, just think of book 2 also in this, tied for this first spot, because I didn't want to have these 2 books take up 2 spots and with only having 5. So yeah, we're going with this. The Final Empire is a place where the Lord Ruler reigns with an iron fist. There is Ska that are kept as slaves, and the oppression of the Final Empire and the Lord Ruler has gotten to a lot of people. Enter Kessler and a ragtag group of thieves who all have a special skill, and they decide they've had enough and they want to overthrow the final empire, but easier said than done. This follows great characters. The character build up in this was just so well done. Like, I loved all the characters, and the third act really surprised me. I loved that the third act had action after having all of the like political, like small slow burn moves at the start. The third act really paid off, and I really enjoyed that. I also enjoyed that Brandon Sanderson is not scared to go there. If you know, you know. I was shocked. I loved it. It was such a fun ride. I tabbed it, I found new favorite characters, I read this so quickly, I then read the sequel like back to back, near enough. I now have Heroes of the Ages ready to go, like new obsession. This is now my personality. Hi, hey, nice to meet you. Coming in at number 2, we have Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. This was great. I gave this 5 stars. I picked this up on a whim and do not regret it. I have this edition, which I have an edition that I prefer, but is super expensive to actually get your hands on. I'll pop that on screen so you can see it. I wish I had that edition, but I will settle for this one because the book is so dang bloody good. In this, we follow Costana, who falls in love with Dracula, and it's like her love letter to Dracula and other people that are also in her life. And it follows a very hard topic of abuse in a relationship and power dynamics, and also how you can find light in darkness. And I just bloody love this book, and I cannot wait. I want to read more of this author's work, and I think there's another book set in this world coming, and I cannot wait for it. Oh, pick this book up if you haven't already. Please do it, and then tell me how you feel about it. Coming in at number 3, we have Dear Medusa by Olivia A. Cole, sorry. I love this. This is a book written in verse. I don't often read books written in verse, so this is a new experience for me. And this is a hard hitting book. In this, we follow Alicia, who has a reputation, but it's not as it seems. And throughout this book, we see the pitfalls that it is just to be a girl a young girl at that. And I feel like there's a lot of places in this book that you can resonate with, and a lot of people can relate to. Also, it's very accessible. If you don't read verse, then I highly recommend this. I tabbed this, so let's just flick to a certain part and see. But lately, I've been feeling off balance, and I realize the more I learn about myself, the further from the center that I am. And even though it means I am not like Blake or Clay, the further from the center I get, the freer I feel. Does that make sense? That the further you get from the thing that claims to love you, as long as you obey its rules, the happier you will be. And it's just full of just beautiful writing. There's a double standard for everything, and it's not just about who gets to sleep around, it's everything. Boys get too mad about shit. They get to smash stuff when they're pissed. They get to be full of themselves. Even when they lose, they get to cry. When we cry, we're too emotional, and it's the reason we can't run the country. When they cry because they lost a football game, everyone is like, oh, wow, look, so sweet. See a man so vulnerable. I'm so tired of this shit. It's got commentary all the way through of the struggles of being a young girl, and I highly recommend this. I really, the language, the lyrical writing, read this. Coming in at number 4, I do not have a physical copy yet, is The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I love this. This follows Kit, who is a caterer and comes under some speculation in her job. So she gets put on like leave. And then she comes back and is tasked with looking after Lenora Hope. The Hope family murders is a big thing in this town. There's nursery rhymes about it. Kids know the ghost and bone chilling stories surrounding the Hope family. But Kit has no choice but to take the job, and within it she unravels secrets that are shocking till the very end. I really enjoyed this. I love when Sager makes things seem really creepy and can kind of lean into a supernatural feeling without becoming supernatural. And I really enjoy the way the story was told. And I could understand if people didn't like the double done ending, but I personally did. It really done something for me, even though one of the reveals was predictable and I predicted it. It was still good to see it come through. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. Number 4 spot, and I need to buy a physical copy now. Now, my number 5 spot is a little bit undecided because I'm indecisive. So I originally have had The 7 Days of June by Tia Williams. I loved this. This was a great second chance romance. It brought up a lot of interesting thoughts. It's tabbed. I annotated this book. I really loved this. I really did. It was so good and it was funny as well, which I really liked. Which brings me on to my second choice, Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This was also funny. This had witty banter. It had everything that I wanted from an Emily Henry book without having read one. I was scared of the hype. I was scared I wasn't going to enjoy this, but I ended up really enjoying it. And I enjoyed where the story went. And there were certain points in the story where I really resonated with the characters. But I had a few issues with this book. I have a hair somewhere and I can't get it. Ugh. And I really resonated with the characters in this book, although I did have some issues that I wish some things were done differently. So I honestly don't know which one to pick. Like I could also go with Falls Boys by Penelope Douglas because I really enjoyed this one. But I feel like this is kind of cheating because I already love Penelope Douglas. It's established that I love Penelope Douglas. This is a 5 star and I will forever keep reading her books. But these are two new to me authors that really blew me out of the water, so I think I'm gonna give it to one of these authors. I don't know which one. Okay, I'm gonna go with 7 Days in June, only because the emotional part of this book was amazing, and I also feel like the issues I had with this I didn't have in here. So yeah, in the 5th spot is 7 Days in June. This follows Ava, who is a single mother and an erotica writer, and she's just trying to live her life getting through every day until she stumbles upon Shane, the love of her life that she hasn't seen in years. and this is where the story kicks off. You get to see how they fell in love in the first place. You also get to see the trauma that they both carry, and then you get to see how things work out. And it was just so good. Like, I just really enjoyed it. There was also a lot of funny parts in this. Let me see if I can like grab a funny bit. My funny tabs are blue. So Ava's daughter is called Audrey. Audrey was raised by a mum who used the correct words for private parts, was consistently honest about where babies came from, and championed masturbation. Self love is paramount. Sex was natural, but her mum writing about it wasn't. Gross. She was asexual. She was just mummy. Cuddly and cute. It was like imagining Pikachu writing porn. And that was her daughter speaking. And I just found that so hilarious. Yeah, this is going to be book number 5 on my favourites so far this year. Now, as always, these are all subject to change. Now we're getting into the worst books of the year, and I don't own any of these, which is probably a really good thing in retrospect. So we're going to start with the best of the worst. It's the worst of the worst. So coming in at number 1, we have How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. Now, you've probably listened to me shit on this for a couple of videos now and maybe sick of it. I just was disappointed by this. This was the issue. I didn't even give this a 1 star. I gave it 2 star. There was some redeemable qualities in this book. It was just that I didn't like a lot of it, and it was disappointing. It wasn't what I was expecting, and the whole like Muppets coming to life just wasn't scary for me. The only thing I took away from this book was do not eat pizza Chinese because it will make you really ill. Hey, Poppy. I'm still filming, yeah. Oh, coming in at number 2, we have the novella Satan's Affair. This was read because it's the prequel to Haunting Adeline, and I did not like this. It was fine for a novella. If it wasn't a novella, I may have DNF'd this. It was fine for what it was. I gave it 2 stars. I did not like the fact that the main character was a grown woman that spoke and acted like a child. It made me very uncomfortable. And yeah, just wasn't for me. Next, we have Blood Orange by Harriet Tice. I gave this a 1 star. I did not enjoy this. It was predictable. At times, the writing was uncomfortable. The characters were bland. I just didn't feel the need to to keep this book, so I unhauled it. And luckily, I bought it at a charity shop, so I didn't waste much money on it. And I am so sorry. I should probably have put a disclaimer. I'm so sorry if any of these are your favorite books. They're just not mine. And that's okay. Coming in at number 4 is Den of Vipers by Kay Knight. I feel bad for the next 2 on the list because they're both DNFs, but a DNF is a valid rating. I will stand by that if I'm DNFing something. Like, if I'm hard DNFing something, it's because it's not doing it for me. And it potentially probably won't. So yeah, this was a hard DNF. I didn't like it. The characters were okay. I think that I wanted more plot. Like, don't get me wrong, I like a good ooh, I got it. I like a good don't get me wrong, I like a good dark romance. I like a good reverse harem romance. I don't really mind. I will give anything a try, really. But this just wasn't it. Like, the characters were fine, but there was no plot, and I need some plot. I need something. I just got bored. This book was way too long. It was a DNF, so was the next book, which will come as no surprise because it's Haunting Adeline, and I'm gonna get so much hate for having some of these on this list, I feel, but no shade, no hate, like, just not for me, okay? The thing in this book was if you know, you know, I just couldn't. Like, no, I can do dark romance. I can do dark topics, hard hitting topics. This just wasn't for me. If it's for you, I'm glad. Get that spice, bitch. Get that spice. This was not for me, and that's okay too. I just I didn't vibe with where the romance was going and how the romance started and what was happening in the romance. It it wasn't for me. And because this book centered mostly around the romance, I was let down. And it's a shame because I really did enjoy the other weaving of the story of the mystery of her grandma and her lover and how she ended up dead. I really enjoyed that story. I just wish that that was more prevalent than the romance that was in this book. Not for me, not a romance for me. So that is it. That is all I have for you today. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope I didn't shit on any of your favorite books. Let me know your best and worst down in the comments. If you're still here, leave a squirt gun emoji in the comments so I know you know what I know, so we can know together. And that is it. Thank you so very much for watching. Remember to stay safe, happy and healthy, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Pick it up from the top, hit restart. So far it's been so hard.